Hooray for Hollywood! Hello there, I'm Stan the Movie Man with your WIMZ.com movie review. Snow White and the Huntsman won this week's movie poll at WIMZ.com. It stars Kristen Stewart, also Chris Hemsworth, Charlize Theron, and more. It is the story of Snow White, a princess locked in a tower by an evil queen. Her name is Ravenna. Of course, Charlize Theron plays Ravenna, and Kristen Stewart is Snow White. Ravenna is an evil witch who uses dark magic to keep herself eternally youthful. But to do that, she has to suck the life out of young women. And her magic mirror, whom she always asks if she's the fairest of them all, tells her that now that Snow White is of age, she is the fairest of them all and holds the key to destroying Ravenna. But Ravenna can stay young forever and never have to, replenish her youth if she cuts the heart out of Snow White. Ravenna sends her evil brother up to bring Snow White down to her, but Snow White, thanks to some birds, notices a nail sticking out of a wall, pulls it out of the wall, and uses that as a weapon to escape from Ravenna's brother. Snow White runs off into the woods, again guided in part by a couple of birds, and she ends up running into the haunted forest, and nobody wants to go in there after her. So Ravenna tells her brother to find somebody who will go in after her, and that's where the Huntsman comes in. That is Chris Hemsworth. His wife had died earlier, some years earlier. He's still grieving for her and spends most of his time drunk. And Ravenna sends him into the woods along with her brother and some guards. And the Huntsman finds Snow White, but he decides not to turn her over to Ravenna and helps her escape through the haunted forest. And then they cross over into what looks like a very normal forest that appears completely unhaunted, where they encounter 8 dwarves. The dwarves initially don't want to help them because they don't want to get involved, and also they don't like the Huntsman. They've had past dealings with him. But they realize that Snow White has the ability to destroy Ravenna, and they decide to help her and the Huntsman try to solve that, or achieve that goal. The movie is beautiful to look at. There's some fantastic special effects and amazing scenery, real scenery, not special effects scenery, that is the backdrop for much of this film. And the production design is fantastic. You won't ever think for a second that this is a modern movie that's supposed to be old looking. It is old looking because they have done a fantastic job of creating sets and digital sets to appear as in medieval times. Again, it looks sumptuous and fantastic. Charlize Theron is gorgeous and pure evil as Ravenna. And Chris Hemsworth is a terrific hero as the Huntsman. And Snow White, played by Kristen Stewart, is nothing like her character in the Twilight movies. She actually acts like she can be happy occasionally. So, it's got all the parts of an enjoyable film, and it is mostly an enjoyable movie, but it is standoffish. There's no one in the film, with a couple of exceptions, that you feel like you can identify and root for in the film. The Huntsman, because of his grief and his willingness to sacrifice in order to help Snow White, and a couple of the dwarves, well actually all the dwarves are very enjoyable. And there's 8 of them, not 7, because I believe there may be some legal issue with Disney as far as 7 dwarves. But they're a lot of fun. They're kind of comic relief. but they also are heroic as well. But really, that's about it as far as people that you know can identify with. The film doesn't really ever reach out of the screen and involve you in it. It's just kind of, it just kind of happens to you, and you don't really feel excited or you don't anticipate, you don't dread what might happen next to one of the characters, and it's, I don't know, it's just not quite, it's not quite there. I think while they spent an enormous amount of money on the visuals, they may have kind of skimped on the script and the character development, my opinion. But again, visually, and that will be more than enough for most people, it is a feast for the eyes. It's just a famine for the soul, if I may be poetic-ish. So I'm giving it 3 guitars. Go to WIMZ.com to read my complete review, as well as to vote on the movie that I'll see next time. You can send me your questions or comments to Stan the Movie Man at att.net, and you can follow me on Twitter at MovieManStan. Till next time, later.